Jackie read it because my reading isn't so clever. But and we also have some personal ideas that we can talk about.
We've had a comment on the Facebook page as well asking about services that are offered. One of the things I would always recommend is a visit to the GP. I think it's always important that we do let our doctors know how we're feeling. And sometimes people think, if I go to the doctors, they're just going to prescribe me antidepressants or they're going to put me on tablets and things like that. But, for some people, that is absolutely fantastic and that's, what helps them. But you can always ask for alternatives. You can be referred to, or signposted to different places that are local to you in the area. So some of the things, you can look out for a therapist in the local area that can help you, whether that be CBT or transactional analysis or talk therapy. You actually did a course on person-centred counselling.
Yeah, I did. And one thing I'll say is, if you see a therapist and it doesn't work, don't think that none of them do. Try something else.
Yeah,
and
it needs to be a good fit.
Yeah. Also with the doctor, yes, sometimes they will put you on tablets, but as long as you're not on them for a long time, that sometimes can help break the cycle, so that at least you could sleep and you can start to think again and not be so overwhelmed, so you can see your way through it.
I always say to clients, do you know what I mean, don't be put off with medication. It is useful, but I would advocate talking, whether that's to a coach or a therapist or a counsellor or family or anybody.
With everything.
It's about, if you can get things out of your head and, by talking, some people say write it down.
Well,
there's lots of different techniques.
Yeah.
My mum always used to say take a pad and a pen to bed with you, and if you're overthinking, just write it down and get it out of your head. So there's lots of things. One of the main things is understanding the signs and symptoms, because we spoke about earlier, it is unique to everybody. What stresses us out and how we deal with stress is unique. So, a blanket approach or blanket hints and tips don't necessarily work. We were speaking earlier, I'm not sure whether that was online or on the live, about I do things when I'm stressed. I get busy, whereas you tended to go to sleep. You don't do that anymore, but that was...
No, I did. If it was too overwhelming, it wasn't just that I'd just go to sleep. I just became so exhausted that I needed to sleep.
Yeah. So, there are different things, but for me, when I get busy, when I take on more jobs, when I'm doing lots of things, I know now that is a sign that there's something going on for me.
Yeah.
So it's about being aware of yourself and changes in your behaviour. Obviously family and friends, my family noticed it before I did in the early days.
Yeah.
You would probably notice me doing more than what maybe I should have done. And
the other way, you noticed that I was just always in bed.
Yeah. So understanding the signs and symptoms and speaking to friends and family, and understanding your triggers. What is it that stresses you out? If you're a parent, if it's isolation, if it's stress at work, or if you're college, if you school, bullying, there's lots of triggers.
There are so many.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you can, whether you're seeing a doctor or you're seeing a therapist or whatever, I think talking to family and friends is a good thing as well, because when I was going through it personally, family and friends might think that I was just in a bad mood, got out of the wrong side of the bed, or just being awkward, but it wasn't. It was because of what I was going through, and maybe if you explain that to them, they're more understanding and they won't take offence of something that I might say or do.
Yeah.
I think talking to family and friends and getting their support, they will start to notice when it is you need help and when it is you need to be quiet.
Yeah, and I think, being alongside somebody, it's not always about finding solutions and going into, Mr. Fix-It mode. It's about just being alongside somebody and letting them, process whatever they're going through. We were talking outside earlier on about how I deal with anxiety, or what I do compared to how you deal with anxiety. And as human beings, I think we're really good at covering up our emotions with other emotions, which makes it quite complicated.
Very.
But when I get anxious, I get angry, I get sharp, and I get snappy, and I get irritable. But the reality is, underneath all of that, I'm anxious.
Yeah.
But people, you know, think, oh, you're not speaking to me if she's got her axe strap on.
I thought it.
You know, and without stereotyping again, men do tend to cover up certain emotions, whether it's fear or sadness, with other emotions. In a psychological term, we call it a racket feeling, where we're covering up one of our authentic emotions with another emotion to camouflage the fact that we're actually feeling something.
And I mean, I am not stereotyping at all, but in society, it's still to a certain extent frowned upon for men to cry or to release it in certain ways. So maybe anger or shouting loud or whatever might come out more. Do you understand what I mean?
It can be more acceptable for men to be angry than what it is
for them to
be
cry.
sensitive and
Yeah,
to show
exactly.
emotion. Yeah, definitely.
Which is it puts pressure on men a lot, that.
So we've got SOS AVC featuring Hello Black. I think that's how you say it. I need to practice these names. And All Night Big Boy, and we'll be back with some more talk soon.
This is Chorley FM.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Shauna's watching again. Hi, Shauna.
Hi, Shauna.
Have you got any hints and tips on stress, Shauna? Workplace can be very stressful.
Very, very stressful.
So can hosting a radio show when you keep leaving your microphone on and... Oh, God, it just stopped dead then. I thought I'd done something else.
Oh, flipping heck.
Hi. So, yeah, we're going to talk some more about what we can do to manage stress, talking about exercise, learning to recognise stress signals, strategies, self-care, that's good.
And I think as
Vent
well...
to your boyfriend for 3 hours at the end of the night. Oh, that's good. We should all have a venting person.
I think as well, you need to understand that in certain situations, somebody can stress you out if you can keep in mind it's them that has the problem, not you. I know that's difficult, but, you know, if you can perhaps sort of look at it that way, you won't feel as that you've been personally picked out or
Yeah, and
react.
everybody has an opinion, and it's none of our
Absolutely.
business what people's opinion is of us.
Which is hard, but
Yeah,
yes.
of course it is, but it's how we're thinking about things, and some things trigger us. But it's about knowing that what's been triggered. But when we go like that from, do you know what I mean, thinking about something to our emotions kicking in, we miss what that trigger is. We don't know why it is, and we tend to blame something external when it's our thinking about something. Sometimes when you say what's stressing you out loud, you realise how small of a problem it really is, and it puts it into perspective. That is absolutely
That's
true,
fantastic.
Shauna. Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
It's that not overthinking it, getting it out there. And the other thing somebody once said to me, in 5 years' time, will you actually be worrying about this, and will you be stressed about it?
Crumbs, no.
And if I look back at what I was stressed at a week ago, never mind 5 years ago,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? The passage of time and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, we don't sit with our stress and not get help for it. But often what we're stressed about now won't be what's stressing us in a week's time. We'll still be stressed about something.
Yeah.
But it won't be maybe that thing that we're actually stressed and quite irate about now. So, yeah, we'll be back in a bit. We've got a few more minutes. Might have to delete another song because we're talking an awful lot. But other than that, we'll be back
Thanks for
soon.
your comments, Shauna.
Thank you, Shauna.